Ek gesels vanoggend met Steve Joubert, hy is die uitvoerende hoof en stigter van die Byeboer projek. Steve, welcome to Grootplaas.
Thank you very much, Mia. Very nice of you to invite me.
Absolutely, and I think we can't talk enough about bees and the role they play and the value that brings. So, to begin with, let's just start with the name of the project. What does Byeboer mean?
Okay, the word abelha is the Portuguese word for bee.
Yeah.
And obviously, Bees of Mosambique is the name of the project. And yeah, it's these incredible little creatures. I first came across them in late 2016, I think it was. And well, not first came across bees, but came across these particular bees.
Yes.
Up in the Byeboer province of Mosambique. And, you know, the world, we must understand, and we should be deeply concerned, each of us, that the world has lost about 70% of its bees over the last 15 years. There are people a lot wiser than I am that warn that should we continue on this path
Yes.
of killing our bees, we could bring human existence into jeopardy on Earth. Our bees are being killed by mainly things like pesticides, agricultural pesticides, habitat destruction. Those are the two main causes, and then that is in turn caused the immunity systems of bees worldwide to actually reduce in effectiveness. So they're more vulnerable to infection and stuff like that. So you've got some really nasty lurgies going on around the world. Fortunately, where we are in Mozambique, and that was probably one of the key components of my, if I can call it a discovery up there, was that we have this area where we are totally and utterly unaffected by any of these things. We have no air, soil or water pollution. We have no agricultural chemical use. The habitat destruction is an issue because the people who live up there live off the land. And so, you know, they do things like clearing natural forest to make way for a little bit of agricultural land. Whereas we're working hand in hand with the communities and with the authorities there to teach them something as simple as fertilization, make their own compost heaps.
Yes.
And they can fertilize their own land, then they don't have to chop down any more forest. They can just replenish the land that they used. So, you know, that's been a major factor up there. But primarily, it's given us the opportunity of providing, if not the purest honey in the world, definitely one of the purest honeys in the world. And then you throw in the fact that we have an amazing plant biodiversity up there, botanical biodiversity, and we have a lot of medicinal plants involved in that. And the bees feed on the plants, and that translates into our honey. So we've got this incredibly pure, incredibly organic, and just to put the little cherry on the top, we've got some wonderful medicinal components in them as well.
That's really amazing. So you are a South African, and how did that journey start? I mean, why did you decide to start this project in Mozambique? How and how have you grown? How has the project grown?
I was involved in another project, or attempting to set up another project in central Mozambique, and I used to travel by road through Kamati-Poort and then up, bypass Maputo, and then up on this long journey all the way up to central Mozambique. And I would pass through the particular area where we are based, which is in Byeboer province. And I was always impressed by the sheer, well, the biodiversity there, and the purity of the place.
Yes.
And that when the project that I was busy with in central Mozambique, we kind of got warned off it. I don't want to go into the details of that. It was we were stepping on some really bad people's toes, so they chased us away. And on my way down from one of those, I stopped again in this place where we are based now, and I knew that there was something waiting there for me. And I was researching a few months later. I was actually sitting at my laptop one morning researching. And I came across a little article and it spoke about in the Philippines, of all places, they were trying to increase the income for their subsistence, for their subsistence coconut farmers.
Yeah.
And somebody suggested putting beehives under coconut palms. Coconut palms produce nectar and pollen all year round.
Yeah.
So that's bee food all year round. And I thought, hold on.
There's an
Palm's got an
opportunity.
enormous amount of coconut palms.
Yes.
And I was researching the coconut palms, and then this little article popped up, and that led me to some studies that had been done. And I then put a pack on my back, jumped on a bus, went back to Maputo, and then grabbed this funny old beat-up old bus up the coast until I got tired of it. And then I jumped off with my pack on my back and walked into the bush. And you only have to sit there for 5 minutes. And somebody comes out of the bush and says, "Patrao, that's grandfather, what are you doing here?"
Yeah.
And I said, "I'm here to study the bees." And I then discovered that traditional honey gathering, we can't really call it beekeeping, but traditional honey gathering in the area has some very destructive elements to it. They've been doing it for hundreds and hundreds of years in that area. But my study showed that they were incinerating about almost 100,000 swarms of bees every year when they harvested the honey. And the hives that they were making was made of tree bark, and they would strip the bark off these trees there, and obviously that kills a tree. So 100,000 trees a year and 100,000 swarms of bees were disappearing from the area every year, yet it was still productive.
Very shocking. Yeah.
And I then started, I was not a beekeeper, but I started to study some beekeeping techniques, and one thing led to another, and then I kind of realized what was going on. So in October of 2018, I think it was, we put our first hives down on the ground there. And it's been a hell of a journey. We've now got directly under our direct control about 1,000 hives, just over 1,000 hives.
Steve, that's
and
amazing.
indirectly probably about another 500.
Yeah.
But COVID and various factors like that affected our rollout. COVID caused for us not to be able to get in there for over a year. And so what I've done is joined hands with the local communities and those old, very destructive methods that the traditional honey gatherers used. The first thing we do is we put them in safety equipment so that the bees can't kill them, because bees will kill you.
Yeah.
They if you come and take anything from them or disturb them, bees will kill you.
They're feisty, yes.
They are, yeah, and they've got something to defend, and they've been, they have so many threats and predators that they are very defensive. But in any event, we by putting the traditional honey gatherers in bee suits and veils, gloves and boots, where the bees can't kill them, we now the trade-off is to say, well, if the bees can't kill you, you don't kill another bee. And we teach them how to conserve bees. We teach them how to, and the communities then benefit from it, because everybody's involved in the income stream generated by the honey that we produce.
Steve, we just have to take a quick break. We're going to continue our chat just now. Ons is nou terug. Ek gesels steeds met Steve Joubert, en hy is die uitvoerende hoof en stigter van die Byeboer projek. Steve, how can we all actively care for our bees?
Okay. I think there are numerous ways. I think number one, something as simple as when you see those little fellows and they're floating around in your swimming pool, please just pick them up and put them on the side, help them out of there.
Simple principles, yeah.
It also means that bees are looking for water to drink. Bees, it's one of the, obviously, like any life form, it's one of the key components. But you can put an old tin out there and place a stick or two that float on the top, so the bees have got somewhere to sit on, and just replenish that with fresh water every day. Respect these little guys. they will only sting you if they feel threatened by what you're doing. Okay, then I would say one of the biggest issues, the world honey market is horribly contaminated today, where very, very little of the honey in inverted commas that we buy in the shops is pure honey. It's mixed and blended with all kinds of crap. Excuse my language. I would strongly suggest that everybody that enjoys their honey tries to find a local beekeeper, somebody that tends to bees and produces his own honey, and buy honey directly from them. Yes. Okay. Until this world stops adulterating honey. Honey is the third most adulterated product in the world after, I think, milk and olive oil. And so look at your jar of honey. If it says irradiated on it, it means it's gone through literally a microwave machine. It's killed all the goodness in your honey. Don't buy irradiated honey. I would say beware of the honeys that are blends of honeys from all over the world. It's got to say that on the label on the back. It's got to say what the origins are. And you get honeys that say this is a blend of honeys from etc. etc. etc.
Yes.
That means that this is just ghastly honey being kind of blended together, a whole lot of different ones. Get pure honey. Get pure honey. Insist on purity. That would be the one big thing, and you'll help bees that way, because a beekeeper is somebody who conserves his bees.
Absolutely. There's a more personal touch to it.
Yeah, and when you get, some of these places overseas where South Africa is sourcing honey from, we have a market in South Africa of almost 10,000 tons of honey a year, but 6,000 of those tons are imported to South Africa. And very often it's not even honey at all. It's syrup. It's corn syrup or beet syrup or rice syrup. Don't buy those things.
Yes.
Please, you're not helping the bees. You're not helping yourself. You may as well just take a bunch of sugar and processed sugar and just put it in some slightly warm water and mix it up and have that. All the goodness it's doing you. Buy pure honey from beekeepers.
Yeah, Steve, we've got about 3 minutes left. I just want to know, just from your opinion or your point of view, why are bees vital to our own future? And I mean, I know there's a lot of answers, but you personally, I always love talking to people who's got a personal investment and a personal love for a subject. So why are they so important for our own future?
Well, almost all of our food stems from the work done by bees and other insects, but mainly by bees, and that's the cross-pollination of plants. Plants need their pollen needs to be shared in order to strengthen their own gene pool, and the bees play this vital role in going from flower to flower, from plant to plant, and their pollen rubs off on the plant. The pollen they pick up on one plant rubs off on the other, and this cross-pollination is critical. There are countries in the world today that don't have bees, big countries, and their agricultural sectors, they actually do this pollination using feathers because they've killed all their bees, and so you've got vast industries around the world, not very good for bees, by the way, for the welfare of bees. You've got vast industries where there are beekeepers that have 500 swarms, 100 swarms, 200 swarms, and they lock them up in boxes, they put them on trucks, and they take them off, and they deploy them around a farmer's field, macadamia nuts, maize, whatever, and they're there for a period of time, and then at night, farmer comes along, he closes up the hive again, and off they move to the next place.
Yeah.
Not very good for the bees. Pretty good for the farmers, though, and pretty good for pollination. But without that cross-pollination, grass wouldn't grow. Plants wouldn't proliferate. Fruit wouldn't grow on trees. And if plants don't grow, grass doesn't grow, not even cattle and sheep and chickens, for that matter, can go on. So our food depends on our bees. Almost everything that you can think of that goes that human beings use and human beings feed on stems originally from bees doing their job. So they are critical and vital to our future.
Steve, thank you for your passion and thank you for your knowledge, and good luck, and just keep up the good work. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.